Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
Unfortunately, Dr. Leviathan cannot be here this week because, well, he's fighting off robot servitors in his lab right now. So, we're off to do this show without him this week. He'll soldier on until next week, hopefully. And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we have Tabula Rasa. So for those of you not in the know, creepypastas are short internet stories that copy-paste across the internet. Wikipedia, Reddit, No Sleep, things like that. Go Google it. Some of them are really good. And it's Robovember, guys! Woo! Yeah, okay. And yeah, so I chose Tabula. I had a list of ones. Of lists for robot themed creepypastas brought to you by Matt from The Drunk and the Ugly. Hey, because I was again scrounging to find robot creepypastas. It seems like we're gonna find a lot of AI ones. Yeah, Tabula Rasa is by ShawnCognitionCP. I looked at his stuff I looked at the account on Creepypasta.wikia, and he's got like a lot of stuff. They seem to be very psychological horror and like transhumanist or sci-fi themed horror stories more than anything. But yeah, so we'll just dive into Tabula Rasa for now. So a man wakes up from cryostasis 328,000 miles roughly away from Earth and on a station and with no memory of anything prior, and is welcomed by an advisor voice, or an admin voice, over the PA, calling herself Melody. He's told he's suffering from temporary memory loss, and that his name is John. He is here to conduct tests in the next chamber over, using a suit and decontamination and stuff like that. The tests are injecting a substance into different plants and seeing the result, and most of the time the result is always death. The plant just withers and dies. The voice pops up from time to time as well, instructing him to remain calm and to keep working, while also getting his name wrong almost every time. Like, 1 minute it's like Amanda, next time it's Joseph or Nathan. Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just constantly, and he's like, oh yeah, the first time it's Maxwell, and he's like, what? Maxwell? Oh, my apologies, your full name is John Matthews, or John Maxwell. Yeah. But then it keeps going, like, just different names, and at some point, it just becomes like Amanda, and it's like, what? This is also a test in isolation, he's told, like being in space, I guess, alone. And it seems to be in effect as the story goes on. John begins questioning the tests and his advisor and becoming a little bit more paranoid of things. He is hurt in one of the tests when some of the substance spills on his hand and begins eating through it like acid. The medical robot arm does as much harm as good as when it's bandaging his hand by clamping it really tight, and then lifting him by his bad hand up at 2 feet above the ground. So yeah, it doesn't help his state of mind and his paranoia about the whole situation. Also, water seems to stop the acid reaction and creates this odorless green gas, the same kind of gas that was popped up when he first entered the decontamination chamber between the two rooms. More paranoid than ever, especially since finding his log device, or charter's pad. I think it's a log device or something like that.
Oh, it's a scanner.
It's a scanner, but it also seems like a tablet kind of thing, or It seems to be the one in his room is broken when he wakes up. I think from cryostasis. So he goes and brings it into the testing lab and has that the terminal scanner, I guess, look through it and look through the hard drive and all that and try to recover some stuff, and discovers some revelations about the tests and his advisor, Melody. and Melody's reading this log out, like as he's seeing it on the screen. Melody is an AI from a progenitor race to humankind who became extinct as Earth was being seeded with life. She was tasked with watching the Earth and humanity and dispersing the substance, which we find out is actually a super weapon of her own design, if humans start going down the same path as their forerunners. John, or 101, is one of many constructed humans, or reconstructed humans, she has made on the station to conduct experiments with. With this discovery, John is left to look out at the distant Earth and stars. There's like a large viewport that he looks through a couple of times in the story, and admire the beauty of like the distant Earth and the stars and space and stuff, before he is eventually terminated, kind of off story. Or
Yeah.
And then Melody can conduct the tests anew with a new fresh slate. And that's pretty much the story. It's a pretty short one. I enjoyed the read, though. Like, I did have to pull. Like, there's a couple of times the guy uses the scientific words, like, which makes sense because like it's like a scientific lab and stuff like that. But I had to like the first time I had to look at like, and then eventually like he like before I think the first time I looked it up, it's like okay, that's what that is. And then like the next like line or two down, he like mentions what it actually is, or what's commonly called. And it's like oh okay yeah. And then same thing with like he goes through like a bean. Or like a black bean plant, grass. I think it's poison ivy or something like that.
Yeah, poison ivy. These are 3.
Yeah, he describes them like that. Like I didn't even bother by that one because I knew toxic. I knew the kind of Latin word for that one. And then 3 leaves. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. So I like the story as it is because it does generate this kind of like you're following this guy and like you can see his kind of like. Stroll into paranoia and like psychological kind of horror. Like it does build up some psychological horror because you're like, what's going to happen to this guy? Like you kind of see like a pattern, like it's like he's going to get either betrayed or he's going to find out something that and the robot's going to or the AI is going to take him out. Which also like the advisor voice Melody. Pretty much from like line 1, like I knew it was an AI.
Yeah,
but like at the very end, like he's
So as soon as I started reading, I read Melody in a robot voice.
And then like during the revelations, like or during that like list of like of issues and stuff like that, like and he's finding out all this stuff. He like asks her, he's like, "So you're an AI?" It's like no shit. But I guess like I mean he is a freshly created human clone, so
he probably thinks that's the way humans speak, so he probably mimics it.
Oh god. Yeah, probably. I was also like he has a weird name for the alien race. Like at first I wasn't even sure what was going on. I was like, wait, what is this? What? And then the revelation of like this AI program has been like a sentinel or a silent observer of humanity since like time immemorial, essentially. Yeah. And I'm just like, I was getting like Halo vibes and like oh, so it's like the monitors of installations and the forerunners and stuff. But like at the same time, it's also like it is a very common sci-fi trope, or it's a very commonly used one nowadays. And I mean, it didn't ruin it. It actually like it's just like okay. It's so wait why like I want to know more, I guess, about the aliens because they've been mentioned. Yeah, but like otherwise, like they're kind of just like this whole thing is all done up by an alien AI, who were our ancestors or whatever, and this is not Earth technology at all. And it's like okay,
well, and while it does state that they did populate the Earth, they might have populated the Earth with dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they just seeded the Earth with life. They didn't manipulate humanity. They just like like that's my thought. My thought on it was too was that because it mentioned specifically they seeded Earth with life. They didn't create humanity. I guess they were just like the AI was just there to monitor, see whatever came out, and then see what path it takes. I just question why, like, as much as I like the idea of, like, alien ancestors and that kind of stuff, like, in stories, because I do like that idea, I just question why that was needed for this story about what is essentially what me and Matt actually agreed on, like, last night when I was telling him about this story, Portal, but darker, or, like, a slightly, like, less humorous Portal. Because it's kind of got the same thing, like the AI GLaDOS kind of thing, and like doing the test chambers, testing stuffs. It had that kind of same feel to it as well. I just don't understand why it had to be aliens. I can't believe I'm saying that so many times on the show.
When it is aliens, you don't like it?
I mean, what if this is all just a dream and sleep paralysis? But no! But anyway, yeah. Do you have anything for this one, Mikey?
The comment I had the first one, the things I wrote down, is pertaining to the mission parameters.
Okay.
I'll just read it off here. Your mission is to test fertility in plants under the condensed conditions you have been placed in, and to check in every hour on the hour to test how human mind deals with such isolation.
Yeah, that really just gets just brushed under the carpet from day one, or from hour one, pretty much.
Well, and the big issue there is that you can't do a check-in every hour on the hour with one person, because sleep deprivation.
Right, yeah. Yeah, see, I remember reading that, and I was like, so, that did come to my head when I read it, and I was like, oh, well, he'll probably, there's probably, an exception for
sleep, but then it never comes up again. He goes to sleep, wakes up.
Well, again, he's being constantly, monitored by the AI, but, yeah, the whole, his mission parameters kind of get just brushed under the carpet. They were just there, for formality of, he needs to have a mission, and then, no, his missions change. And I guess maybe that's also part of the tests that Melody is doing to him. Telling him he has to do this one thing, and then really she's monitoring the whole, monitoring his existence on the station, and, with paranoia. Because she's constantly telling him to keep calm, constantly telling him to keep working and stuff like that, and then, yeah.
And then, I don't know, the whole naming thing, where she kept giving different names.
Yeah.
That, to me, says that the AI is not doing a good enough job monitoring Earth, because they don't understand the concept of having individual names.
Yeah. Well, either that or, she's glitching out. And she did say that, she, spent the last, however long it's, human history's been
I think it explains,
repairing itself.
I think it explains it. It doesn't understand that concept.
Oh, does it? Okay, shoot. I guess I didn't read that part. Or didn't, I don't
that's
remember
how
that part.
It came out to me anyway.
Okay.
But then, which is well, why didn't you just go with the alien standard of naming it one thing, human?
Yeah.
You are human.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it was trying to seem yes, I am Earthman. I am John Maxwell. Yeah, I was trying to be Earth people. It wasn't actually until the end I realized what the title was for, because I knew what Tabula Rasa means because of other things and stuff, but and then at the very end I was okay, no, this makes perfect sense why it's called Tabula Rasa, because knowledge isn't just created. We're never created with knowledge. You have to learn knowledge, and so it's you start off as a blank slate and you have to learn from there. It's that makes. Yeah, okay, the title is actually appropriate for the story.
Well, although he has pre-knowledge, though, given to him.
He has some knowledge, he has, rudimentary knowledge, but not,
But space knowledge, why wasn't I woken up after launch?
Yeah, that's true. He's got memories about I guess have been implanted maybe of the, or maybe it's from his previous the original John, I guess, because he's 101 of John or of human. Also, I'm wondering, like, with Amanda and other names, like, did like they have other types of humans, or did she like rebuild, like, did she like build like is it like a human randomizer, where like they'd just be like a different type of person, like a different human gender or whatever, like whenever it popped out of the clone machine or whatever it is, or is it just like she's just like, all right, John's gonna be Amanda this week, and just like suddenly there's a female version of John. No, like, again, there's a lot of questions to be asked, but like the story as it is presented is pretty much just a it's a psychological horror, because it's this guy, like, we're watching this guy's like sanity degrade in as he's having to question his situation and stuff. But it's also, like, kind of at its core a sci-fi story where there's a commentary to it. There's like there's not commentary. There's commentary. This is like where it's more about like a message, or more about, like, it's more trying to get across, like, AI, I guess, or see, I was going somewhere with this, and then I lost my train of thought. Fuck. But yeah, like it feels more like those old sci-fi, like the Asimov stories, or something like that along those lines.
To me, it actually felt like the newer version of the Outer Limits.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Version. Yeah. Actually, sorry. Yeah. Not Asimov. It reminds me a lot of like Twilight Zone or the Outer Limits, like the '90s one.
Yeah.
That came out. Yeah. Where it was like, where it's a nice confined story, and then there's a twist ending. Yeah. But it deals with like weird science fiction or moral quandaries and stuff. Yeah. 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 Again, yeah. It reminds me of a lot of that stuff. But I'm curious. Anything else in the nitpicks for this one?
Just a spelling mistake. Which is, as he turned to the table, founding the plant.
There's that, and I also noticed there's a handful of like just missing letters, like on occasion in the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, founding the plant. Yeah, and I think there's also a couple of like words like that were throughout it as well. But I mean, it didn't ruin the reading experience for me.
Yeah, but, because you knew what they were. Yeah, it was like finding the plant.
Finding. Yeah, so your mind would just like autocorrect. Yeah.
Well, that's one that I had to write down so that my autocorrect, because I could find it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the last note that I have is in regards to the doomsday substance, which is completely ineffective when you think about it. Because it's neutralized by water.
Yeah, and they even mentioned like the irony of 70% of the planet is water.
Yeah. Well, and the other irony is that plants are 80 to 90% water.
Yeah.
So essentially, it shouldn't really affect them.
I think what it is that like it's like that's kind of like a diluted state of water, because like plants. I mean, even us, like we're like what are we 70% water? No,
we are 50 to 65.
50, yeah. We're that much water, like, so really, I mean, why is it reacting so badly to us? I think the thing is that, like, in its pure water in its purest form dilutes it, or like causes that reaction. Whereas like plant matter, organic plant matter causes that weird like gaseous spore spreading agent essentially. And then when it affects biomatter that's fauna or like that's like animal plant matter, it corrodes it like a superacid. Like, so it was like. But again, I ask, like the tests are apparently made to question or to try and figure out how to fix the problem. But Melody already knows the problem, so I guess the whole like test thing is really all about him.
Wow.
Or like
part of it's I'm guessing to test a newer concoction.
Okay.
To try and find a way to get past the water issue, so that it can eradicate the human race if they reach a certain point.
Well, that's the thing. I got the impression by the end that Earth was already wiped out.
I got the impression that Earth was still there, but it was in a state that it was potentially getting close
to whatever,
to the point where it was very much mimicking this other race.
Yeah. Which is like probably going to end like probably like a war state, some kind of technology like nuclear power or nukes or something like that, because that's I mean, if the author of this like comments and says that like no, like or it's not just nukes or whatever, like I would like to know. But like my go-to when it comes to sci-fi of like, oh, we're going down the path of like of another doomed race. It's like, yeah, we're using weapons of mass destruction and destroying our planet, kind of thing. That's my go-to for that kind of like for why we're going down, what path we're going down, because it's been so ingrained in sci-fi. But okay, so yeah, I guess like that was the other thing. Like it was either when I first read it, like I got the whole Earth's already wiped out, but it could also be definitely that he was just, he thinks that like he's just like on this mission and he's just been pulled like his DNA or the original John was just grabbed, like abducted, and then just put in this situation. Yeah, it could work.
Yeah. So it's just the whole water.
Water does it.
Water's the key way to get rid of it, or really a base as well.
Yeah,
because it turns into an acid.
It's very much the signs weakness. Let's go to a planet that the whole 70% of the planet is water and take out take over the species. Let's do it, guys. Wait! It's 75% of the thing that hurts us. God, that's like going to a planet where we're totally like not immune to the illnesses. Again, like it's the faulty of so many sci-fi creatures or sci-fi stories.
One little microbe.
Yeah. Either you forget to get your vaccination that day, or right before the invasion, or it turns out you die from water. Oh God.
Yeah.
Man, sci-fi kind of is weird if you think about it. Like, if you think about it too hard, like just some of the plot points that come out, or the tropes that pop up from it.
Well, but the whole thing is like War of the Worlds, right?
Yeah.
The basic, we're getting royally screwed over, and then all of a sudden they're dead because because they were thing in our atmosphere that
killed them. Yeah, they couldn't deal with the common cold.
Yeah, they weren't prepared for. So it's just like,
which again is a good analogy of like we're going right off tangent here, but it's a good analogy for like when when the conquistadors came to America, or or the Europeans came to America, and like I mean both of them kind of gave each other like we always think of like people like Europeans gave the Native Americans smallpox and stuff, but they actually like Native Americans like when the Europeans came in, before the Europeans came to America, syphilis was not a thing. I'm pretty sure I read that recently, that's actually one of the things that the Europeans contracted. It just Well, so whenever two very different groups meet, there's going to be some negative reaction. Because they have lived in two different biomes. But again, complete tangent from what we're actually supposed to be doing. I don't think I have anything else for the story. Like I said, I enjoyed the read, and I the ending was pretty good, was satisfactory. The guy's it's just the cycle's gonna continue, and this guy's just it's like, hello, darkness, my old friend. I can envision that as it pans out. So, I mean, I guess we're just, do you have anything else to say before we do recommendations? Or
Nope, my notes are pretty well done.
Yeah, this one was pretty short, and, for me anyway, I did enjoy it, so, I didn't really have a whole lot of qualms with it, aside from, what we obviously mentioned. But I would recommend this one, honestly. It's a good short little creepy sci-fi story. The charger's pad, it's got to be like a tablet, right?
Yeah, with a button.
It's got a big red button on. My initial thought of it was just it's this little silver tablet thing, and there's a big shiny candy red button in the middle. It's boop. But and then the scanner goes in with a bunch of little robot hands and starts plunging into it to get the data. It's just okay. Because science fiction. Technobabble.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously though, otherwise I would actually, personally, I'd recommend this one if you like space, sci-fi stories, like creepy sci-fi stories, and ones that aren't like this was fairly hard science. Like it was, I mean, there's some fantastical stuff in it, but it wasn't like outlandish. Like it wasn't within the realms of like impossibility. Like I could see for 2055 or whatever. I could kind of see it. I honestly almost felt like this was going to end up being like an astronaut procedural, because it kind of felt like an astronaut procedural where like it could have been on like the International Space Station, the way it was described.
Kind of, but at the same time, like there's artificial gravity, which is like yeah.
And cryostasis, but I mean, like a couple.
Well,
that's not too.
The cryostasis is explained by being a cloning machine.
Yeah, that's true, and that's why she locks it. Right? Okay. No. Wow. But yeah, like I mean, again, it's not like there's no lasers. There's no like. It's a pretty like down to earth science fiction story in terms of like the technology level, like or believability of like, yeah, this stuff kind of like in a couple of years, like in a couple of decades, I could see this happening. And then we find out that the whole thing's been an extrapolation of an alien AI.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, like, wow, that's surprisingly like low tech for an alien species. Good work, guys. But yeah, again, I would recommend this one because it's an interesting read, and it does have that kind of psychological horror element to it. So yeah, I'll recommend it. So.
And then for me, I'm going to recommend it, but that's just because I like sci-fi. But the main issue is that I didn't find it creepy. Like you get your basic sci-fi. Oh, somebody from cryostasis or whatever. You've got a lab testing something. Nothing really creepy there.
I think the creepiness for me, anyways, was the potential for like what was this AI going to do to him, and then also like his like paranoia. Like it was generating that psychological creepy thing with him. But that's my own personal thing. So
yeah,
sorry,
but it to me it just didn't scream creepy, you know? Like
okay, like you didn't get creepy. It was it's definitely not one of the most. It's not like the creepiness in this one is definitely not overt.
Yeah,
I think it's more subtle than what we usually see. Like a lot of the stories we usually do on the show is more like they're creepypastas because they deal with the supernatural and ghost stories or like killers and stuff like that. But this one was more or less a subtler like creeping dread, and then the revelation is kind of like, oh shit, you're just one of 101 people that have been cloned and killed on this station, and like it's. I think the creepiness is in there, but it's not on the same level as what you're used to.
Yeah,
when it comes to it. Yeah. But yeah, sorry.
So if you like sci-fi, you can give this a read. Like I said, it did seem a lot like an Outer Limits episode where you don't know what's entirely going on until the end. Yeah. And then that's...
And then it's over. And then the episode's over. Which is very much... Yeah, and again, like... Again, with the creepiness thing, like, Outer Limits is technically a horror thing, too. But some of those stories are, like... I mean, they're intellectual. I think, it's subtler and maybe even, like... You have to think a little bit more on the creepiness of the situation that's going on as well. But, yeah, so... Alright, so... It gets recommendations for being a decent sci-fi story, and, for me anyways, a decent, like, psychological horror story, so... Alright, cool. Alright, so, if you like what you heard, if you didn't, you can leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr... we're both on Twitter at E stands for Evil and Review Cultist. Go check us out on iTunes and leave us a review or rank us. That every little bit helps. Also, if you'd like, you can go send us an email at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. And if you'd like, you can check out the title cards for each episode on Tumblr, YouTube, and Facebook. crazonstudios.tumblr.com. Also, if you'd like to show your support for the show, you can go down to Patreon and become a patron. Go to Al Dente Rigor Mortis on Patreon and choose the tier that you would like to back us at. So, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And this has been Robovember of Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well. Okay.
Well, I make notes while I'm reading, and then when I go back and look at them, I make sure that they make sense, because sometimes it's, those things I was like, oh, well, it's explained, and
Gotcha.
it's not what I thought it was type thing. And
I like how we have different, note-taking means. I generally will read the story first, and then spend a couple of, hours just, jotting down all the odd note of something that comes up from after I've read it.
Well, the what I've noticed is that if I do that, and then I go back to find something that I know was wrong,
Yeah, you can't find
I can't find it.
Fair.
Because I think we explained that in the one thing is that it's because your mind corrects how it makes
correct
sense,
Yeah,
and then so you've already made that correction in your mind, and when you look over it the next time, it doesn't flag you at all. And it's like, damn it.
You just rewrite it yourself mentally.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's why we have you on the show to be more thorough when criticizing things.